Girl hides beneath the bed, whispering something to her brother that shocks the entire family. Aiden kicks off his sneakers at the front door, letting his backpack slump onto the floor with a loud thud. The house is eerily silent, too quiet. Usually, by the time he arrives home from school, his little sister Sophie is already bouncing around, chatting excitedly about her day or singing along to her favorite cartoon. But today, there is nothing, no TV blaring, no giggles from Sophie, only the gentle hum of the refrigerator and the steady tick-tock of the old hallway clock fill the air. Aiden calls out her name with a frown, but there's no answer. Mom is still at work. She won't be home for another hour. The babysitter always drops Sophie off by 3:30, but it's already 3:45. His stomach twists nervously. Maybe Sophie is quietly playing in her room. But she never plays quietly. He walks down the hall, muffling his steps on the wooden floor with his socks. Sophie, he tries again. Pushing open her bedroom door, it's empty. Her pink backpack is tossed on the bed, unzipped, her lunchbox half hanging out, and her favorite stuffed bunny sits propped against her pillow as if she'd placed it there intentionally. But for what? Aiden's chest tightens. Something feels wrong. Then he hears a tiny sniffle, and his eyes dart to the space beneath Sophie's bed. The blankets hanging over the side tremble slightly. Sophie, dropping to his knees, he lifts the edge of the bedspread and finds her curled into a tight ball, still in her school clothes. Her blue dress is wrinkled, one knee sock sagging around her ankle, her face streaked with dried tears, her big brown eyes red and puffy. Sophie. Aiden's voice softens. Why are you under there? She shakes her head, pressing her face into her arms. I don't want to come out. Her voice is small and shaky, like she's trying not to cry again. His heart pounds. Sophie never hit like this. She was a kid who laughed too loud, danced in the grocery store, and always ran to hug him when he got home. Gently, he reaches out. Hey, it's okay. You can tell me. Hesitating, Sophie gradually uncoils, scooting forward just enough for him to see the fear in her eyes, then whispers something that makes his stomach drop. For a moment, he thinks he hasn't heard her right. Miss Bennett, the same Miss Bennett who wore colorful dresses, handed out star stickers for good behavior, read stories in funny voices, and always smiled at parents during drop-off. Her name echoes in his mind as his hands feel suddenly cold. Sophie, carefully, he asks, What do you mean? His own voice sounds strange, too tight, too quiet. Sophie's bottom lip trembles as she pushes up her dress sleeve, revealing a small, dark mark on her inner wrist, like someone had grabbed her hard. His breath catches. His little sister's skin is marked. Someone has hurt her. Did she do this? He asks, pointing at the mark, his fingers trembling. Sophie nods, tears welling up anew. She whispers. She grabs kids when no one's looking. She says we'll get in big trouble if we tell. His heart hammers loudly, and his mind races. How long has this been happening? Why didn't she say anything? How many other kids has that woman hurt? Without thinking, he pulls Sophie into a tight hug. She's so small against him, her trembling body pressed close. It's okay, he murmurs into her hair, even though nothing truly feels okay. You're safe now. I promise. She clings to him, fingers gripping the back of his shirt. I was scared. She admits in a tiny voice. I know. Aiden replies, his throat burning. But you're so brave for telling me. He pulls back just enough to look at her face. Her cheeks are blotchy, her nose running slightly, looking exhausted as if she's been holding this secret for a long time. We're telling Mom. He says firmly, right now. Sophie's eyes widen. But what if? She begins. No. Aiden cuts her off. No what ifs. Mom will know what to do. And that lady, Miss Bennett, is not going to hurt you again. He stands, pulling Sophie with him, her tiny hand in his as he leads her to the kitchen, where Mom's work number is stuck to the fridge with a magnet. His fingers dial the number before he can second-guess himself. Each ring feels like an eternity. Finally, Mom's voice answers. "Hello." Aiden takes a deep breath. "Mom, you need to come home now." Suddenly, before he even hears the car pull into the driveway, the front door bursts open. Mom, Julia, stands in the doorway, her work blazer still on, her chest rising and falling hurriedly as if she'd run all the way from her office. Her eyes flicker between Aiden and Sophie, who sits curled up on the couch clutching her stuffed bunny. "Baby," Mom breathes, dropping to her knees in front of Sophie. Her hands reach out but hesitate midair, afraid to touch her. Something happened at school. Aiden says. Sophie shrinks back into the cushions, and Aiden sees the moment her mom notices the mark, the breath. Hitching, her fingers gently turning Sophie's wrist toward the light. A muscle in her jaw twitches. "Sweetheart," Mom says softly, in that calm voice adults use when they're trying not to scream, "can you tell me exactly what happened?" The living room clock ticks loudly, and outside, a dog barks. Sophie's whisper is so quiet that Aiden has to lean forward to hear. She yanks her arms, demonstrating with her bunny, jerking its paw and covering her mouth if she cries. Mom makes a gasp, as if someone had punched her, then remains frozen for 3 heartbeats. Her expression hardens into something fierce and terrifying. "Get your shoes on," she orders abruptly. Standing, we're going to school. The car ride is silent, except for Mom's tight grip on the steering wheel and Sophie's sniffles in the back seat. Aiden keeps stealing glances at his sister through the rearview mirror. She presses her forehead against the window, fogging the glass. Suddenly, the phone rings. Aiden recognizes the school's number flashing on the dashboard. Mom answers quickly. Julia Monroe. A man's voice, Principal Harris, speaks through the speaker. "Mrs. Monroe, I understand you're upset, but perhaps we should discuss this." No discussion. Mom cuts him off with firm resolve. "We're coming in now. With all due respect, Miss Bennett has an exemplary record." The principal insists. "Did you not hear what my daughter just told me?" Mom's voice rises, cracking like thunder. Aiden has never heard her sound like this before. "No, this isn't a misunderstanding. My daughter doesn't lie about this." Sophie flinches at the shout, and Aiden reaches back without looking, clutching her small, cold hand as a lifeline. Principal Harris continues, words slick and slippery. "Procedure requires we investigate before making accusations." Mom lets out a gasp, more like a broken cry. "Oh." We're way past accusations. She snaps as she screeches a car into the school parking lot. We're in the show me the security footage stage now. She hangs up before he can respond. The only sounds are the engine idling and Sophie's trembling breath. Mom turns in her seat, eyes glassy. "Sophie," she whispers softly, "I need you to be brave just a little longer. Can you do that?" Sophie nods, chin trembling. Aiden squeezes her hand tighter as they walk toward the school doors, their shadows stretching long behind them in the late afternoon sun. Inside, the principal's office smells of lemon cleaner and old coffee. Aiden sits stiffly in a plastic chair while Mom holds Sophie on her lap. Principal Harris, a balding man with a too-tight tie, leans against his desk. "Mrs. Monroe," he begins, his voice like he's explaining something to a toddler. "I understand your concern, but Miss Bennett has been with us for 12 years. We've never had a single complaint." Aiden's fist clenched, because she had a way of scaring kids into silence. The words burst out before he could stop them. Principal Harris's eyebrows shoot up. Mom places a warning hand on Aiden's shoulder, but her voice sharp as broken glass. "My son's right. You don't get complaints when children are too terrified to speak. She pulls Sophie closer. We want to see the classroom security footage today. The principal sighs. Annoyed, that requires district approval. He says, Mom stands so quickly her chair squeaks. My daughter comes home with marks on her wrist. And you want paperwork? A tiny whimper from Sophie cuts through the tension. Please believe me. She whispers, tears streaming down her cheeks. Something flickers across Principal Harris's face as he looks at her, tear-streaked face, clutching her bunny like a shield. Her shoulders slump slightly. Follow me, he mutters. The security office is cramped and dim, filled with the hum of computer fans. A bored technician looks up as they enter. Pull up room B12. Harris orders. The monitor flickers on, showing Miss Bennett's classroom from a high corner. Kids moving around like ants, coloring at tables, playing with blocks. Then, Aiden points at the footage, which shows Miss Bennett bending over Sophie on the reading rug, her hand clenched around Sophie's wrist, yanking her up too fast. Sophie's mouth opens, clearly crying, but the video has no sound. Miss Bennett glances around quickly before dragging her toward the classroom supply closet, the same dark corner Sophie described. Mom makes a choking sound. The technician freezes a frame. Harris looks very pale. I had no idea. He stammers. Aiden's stomach turns as he watches Sophie bury her face in Mom's shoulder. This is undeniable proof, undeniable proof that his little sister had been telling the truth all along. Mom's voice trembles as she says, Call the superintendent now. Keep that woman away from children until this is thoroughly investigated. As they walk back to the car, Aiden notices Sophie standing taller, her grip on Mom's hand looser. The late afternoon sun feels warmer, as if the world itself is breathing a sigh of relief. News spreads faster than anyone expected. By the next morning, Miss Bennett had been suspended, and notices were sent home with every child in her class. Aiden watches from the kitchen window as TV news vans line up outside the school, their satellite antennas stretching skyward like strange metal flowers. Mom's phone rings nonstop, first the school board, then other parents, some crying, some furious. My son has nightmares about school, and I thought he was just being dramatic. There's a mark on my daughter's arm that she wouldn't explain. Each call tightens Aiden's chest. How many kids had suffered silently? How many parents missed the signs? Just like he almost did that evening. The house feels different, lighter somehow. Sophie colors at the kitchen table while Mom cooks her special mac and cheese. A rare treat. The smell of melted cheese and butter fills the air, mingling with Sophie's quiet humming. When bedtime arrives, Sophie doesn't argue. She climbs willingly into bed, still clutching her bunny. But this time, she reaches for Aiden's hand. Will you stay till I fall asleep? She asks softly. Aiden nods. Sitting on the edge of her bed, he watches as her eyelids grow heavy, her breathing slowing and becoming steady. Mom appears in the doorway, her eyes tired but gentle. She motioned for Aiden to join her in the hall, out of earshot of Sophie's room. She pulls him into a tight hug. You saved us. Aiden, she whispers, her voice cracking. Aiden shakes his head, embarrassed. Nah, Sophie was a brave one. Mom cups his face in her hands. You both were. Over the following weeks, everything changed. The school board held emergency meetings. New rules were enacted, more cameras, stricter teacher training, and most importantly, a promise to truly listen when children spoke up. Sophie gets a new teacher, a young woman with a bright laugh who lets her students call her Miss Jenny. On Sophie's first day in her new class, Aiden peeks through the classroom window during drop-off and sees his sister grinning as Miss Jenny helps her tape a colorful drawing to the wall. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to give a thumbs up, subscribe, and share where in the world you're watching from in the comments. We love hearing from all of you. Thanks for watching.